If you've just tuned in, good morning. I'm Megan Prinsloo, keeping you company all the way through until 12 o'clock. As promised, I have Claudio coming into studio this morning to chat about his new book, Rise of a Warrior Leader. If you want to be a part of the giveaway that is coming up your way, all you have to do is answer me this question on the WhatsApp line at 021 100 6936. What is the title of Claudio's book? I would love to hear from you. You have a couple of minutes while he's chatting to me. What is the title of the book that he is brought with him in studio this morning? 021 100 6936. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to have you in studio with me. It's very, very exciting. Before we get into your book, please tell me what it is that you do and what projects are you involved in?
So firstly, thank you very much for inviting me and being part of your lovely show. So I would regard myself as a human optimizer. So I work with people and help them to be more in a sense of leadership, mental toughness, and all-round resilience.
It's very, very interesting. And please tell us a bit more about your book, Rise of a Warrior Leader. What is it about?
So essentially, it's looking at leadership. For years, in my first career, which was in the military for 9 years, and then in banking in London, where I entered into a time where it was not ideal. 2008, subprime crisis, and there were job losses left, right, and center. The organizations that I worked with, two main banks, one of them being South African Investec Bank, actually outperformed the market. And the literature, which I was looking into, all around in books, articles, The Economist, and so forth, leadership, I was reading one thing and I was seeing another thing on the ground, things that I'd learned from the military. And this is what gave birth to the book, is looking at leadership in terms of servant leadership. We hear this all the time. When do we be a servant leader, and when do we step out of servant leader and take on crisis, challenges, or periods of radical change? When do we step out of that? And that's the warrior leader. Amazing.
It's a difficult balance to find between those two, I think. Now, the focus is on building character and mental toughness and resilience to weather any storm. How does one go about doing that?
So if we look at leadership in a triangle, the I, that's your character, who you are, because who you are is how you lead. And the top of the triangle, that's the how of leadership. And usually leadership, that's the core focus. How do you lead? You'll come across about public speaking and charisma, influence, know your people, and so forth. But that's the how. If you've not taken care of who you are, your shadow, your insecurities, that'll all unravel. And perhaps even your intention. If your intention is not to serve others, you're going to be empowered with all these skills and then manipulate people. And the third being is the we. That's the culture. Because many eyes make the we. So it's important also to look at culture, because if you're not resilient personally, but your culture is resilient, then that's okay, because people will look out for you and they've got your back. So that's the pyramid. But in terms of the I, that's unraveled in my next book.
Interesting.
That's Mental Toughness of a Warrior. And that I've been working on for almost 7 years, and that's going to be launched around Heritage Day.
Amazing.
But there is, in this book, there is a touch point on that in the bonus section, just to give you a taste. And that is a tool that's used, which forms the acronym SPEAR, SPEAR. And S is the self, understanding the self and what it is about you. And there's different layers of that. If I ask you, what is your why, that scrambles your brain, because that is an end question. That's a timeless question. What is your purpose, and so forth. And people get lost in spend too much time into that. So this goes through a logical. The first thing is, what do you value and what's important to you? And then we retrofit, we work back then. And if you still don't know your why, it's not important, because the sun's going to rise, the sun's going to set. We need to be productive. And we can contemplate that. We've got years to contemplate that. And the R is the result. What is the result you desire? The P is the path to the result. And the E and the A is emotion and attention management, because we're emotional beings. We can get triggered, we can feel offended, we disrespect so easily, and we need to manage that. And that's a tool for mental toughness to work on yourself, which will be the next, like I say, and help build character.
I think it's difficult sometimes to figure out what your why is. So it's nice if you have a step a couple of guidelines almost to be able to get to that why. Because I know myself, I get lost into, there's so many things I want to achieve, but my why and which one to do can be quite difficult to pick, Now, if you have to give one, actually, how does this tie into leadership and being an effective leader? I wanted to ask you about that first.
So, ties in I say that we often hear of different things, cash is king and so forth, but in terms of leadership, character is king. Because that shines through. If you have an insecurity, when you're under pressure, unfortunately, that gets brutally exposed. It becomes obvious to everybody and perhaps not you. But I'm not sure if of course you have, because you are on air, but for the average person who does not record themselves, when we listen back, we say, wow, do I sound that bad?
Yeah.
But of course, I
still feel like that, don't worry.
Does not apply to you. But for the rest of us, we say, wow. And yes, that is exactly how you sound, unfortunately. So in terms of, if we have not done this inner work, this inner journey, which take years and it can get messy as well. This will be exposed. It's very difficult to put a mask on when you're under pressure.
Yeah.
If I say to you, how are you? It's quite easy to say, no, I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah.
But if you bang your foot.
Yeah. Oh nee, jy gaan vloek. You're going to swear.
I'm going to hear an A-no coming out of your mouth. And there's no mask there. So this is important of this inner work on building effectiveness, because it's also about sustainability. Effectiveness essentially is results. If we have to look at effective leadership, is are you getting results or not? But how we get those results, is it trampling over people, or is it done in a sustainable way?
Yes.
Along ethics, and that is essentially this model, which is called the steward warrior leadership model. It's the steward. It's about empowering people and with accountability. So it's servant leadership with a heavy focus on accountability.
That's so important. Remember that accountability, right? Now, if you had to give one reason why someone should purchase your book, Rise of a Warrior Leader, what would it be?
I would say it simplifies things, because there are many, many leadership models out there. And unfortunately, each person who comes up with a model is a proponent of their model. They push their model and they don't promote other models. And this creates confusion, because one person will say, no, this is best, then this. But what I say in the book is that they're all good, and they're all come as a result of a need. Society or organization had a need. For example, the Enron scandal, the collapse, there was a big push after that for ethical leadership, whistleblowing, and transparency. And the list goes on. If we take a y-x-axis, the x-axis being time and the y being physicality. So the start of man, or humankind, caveman, T0, there was a need to be physical. You need to hunt with your bare hands or a rock.
Yeah.
You weren't going to do that if you were not strong. So the alpha male was the natural leader. But as times progressed, we have now Bill Gates, who's you would not regard him as a Hulk Hogan by any stretch of the imagination, and he runs the world through his fingertips. So if he can do it, there's no need to be big and strong, but we still need the mental toughness.
That's the thing. I think that's the key, the mental toughness. Now, how can we find the book, and how can we get into contact with you?
For the lucky winner, they can find it at Helderberg FM.
Hey.
But for the rest, at any exclusive books, there's one in Somerset West, any Wordsworth, and if they don't have it, within a day or two, they should be able to get it, source it from another exclusive books. It's also available on Takealot, and outside of South Africa, it's in the US, Barnes and Nobles, UK, I think, Waterstones, Australia, and New Zealand also.
Amazing. So it's available worldwide as well.
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time this morning, and I really appreciate you coming into studio. Hopefully you'll come back for the next launch as well, and we can chat about your next book.
We're delighted.
Fantastic. Thank you so much to Claudio Chiste this morning, chatting to us on air about his book, Rise of a Warrior Leader.